Heroes with Hooves. Maharaja by Juliette Whelpton. Chapter 1. Arabian Horse, Child of the Wind. Egypt, 1894. Careful, Salma! I know that man's voice, but it sounds much clearer and sharper now than it did a while back when I was still snug in my mother's belly. The women's hands that catch me and stop me from falling to the ground are soft, small and delicate. When a mare foals in Egypt, the foal isn't allowed to fall to the ground. Instead, it is caught by those standing by. It's a stallion, Daddy! Salma's eyes shine with joy as she looks at her husband. A little girl and a little boy are standing there, having cautiously moved closer. Come and help, children! Pappy invites them to come closer. Wash the legs, Sarah. Alim, you can help with the body. My mother, a beautiful grey Arabian, stands closer too, and as the human family washes me, she lovingly licks my head clean. My mother's name is Kiara. Daddy, his little body is so small and his hair is so downy and soft, says Sarah, wonder in her voice. Yes, Sarah, says Pappy. He'll become lighter as he gets older, and later he'll be as grey as Kiara. Oh my, Sarah exclaims. Feel his little ribs, Daddy. Did you know that Arabian horses are born with one rib fewer than other horses? Asks Pappy. Other horses have 17 ribs, but Arabians have only 16. They also have one tailbone and one vertebra fewer. That's why their tails naturally make such a beautiful arch when they run. But you mustn't think that they're weaker because they have fewer bones. Not at all. Their bones are far denser than those of other horses, and this is why they're so strong and hardy. Here in Egypt, people and horses live together in tents. I sleep tightly up against my mother's warm body while Pappy sleeps with his head on my mother's neck. You are my very best friend, beautiful Kiara, he says softly before he falls asleep. My legs remain wobbly when I try to walk the following morning. My mother is outside the tent where Sarah and Alim are combing her hair. They laugh with excitement when they see me stumbling along. I soon learn to walk, and before long I'm jumping after the children between the tents with the other foals. We all play together. There are other animals too, but we horses are put first. Blackie and Whitpoot are the two dogs who also sleep in the tent with us and our human family at night. Pappy has camels as well. They're called Hugo, Glimlag, September and Langerard. Then there are the pigeons too, beautiful grey birds with long tails and puffed out chests. I've heard of odd friendships between different animals, but I've never heard of a horse and a pigeon being buddies. Pappy is amazed by a young pigeon who is always with me. During the day, as we play so happily between the tents, he's already close by. And the faster I run, the faster he flies. He's just like my shadow, and, later, that's just what people call him. Little Shadow. By the time I'm a month old, I've been weaned from my mother like all the other foals, and I'm fed camel milk for the next 100 days. This is also when Salma decides that it's high time that I'm given a proper name. That same night, the whole family sits around in the tents as I lie alongside my mother. I've been watching this special foal of ours for months now. Did you know that our ancestors from many years ago, even before Cleopatra's time, spoke of the legend that, in the beginning, there were 7 Arabian horses, each of them with a specific message to give to mankind? Those messages were bravery, loyalty, love, perseverance, compassion, respect and leadership. Today, every Arabian horse carries one of those messages. Arabians are beautifully made, and people can receive their messages just by looking at them and being around them, all without words. You see, the problem is that people don't listen to each other properly. These beautiful horses attract people so that they can understand the messages another way. Yes, Mama! Alim exclaims. Our foal is brave and loyal and full of love. Yes, my child, he has every one of those qualities, but there is more to him. This horse is a leader, and this is the message he conveys. He is like a king among the other foals and animals, and I've seen that even the older horses approach him with respect. His name is Maharaja. Kehele Madhihij Maharaja, the king. Many people hailing from the various Arab tribes have settled in this part of the desert where I live. It's a 2-day camel ride from the Nile River at Aswan to get here. One morning, Papi decides that we should go to the river to get food supplies from the people who have come ashore to barter. Let Maharaja join us. He needs to get accustomed to long distances, orders Papi. There is a great deal of excitement and everyone ends up going together. Hugo, Glimlag, September, Langerard, and of course my dearest friend Little Shadow flies after us as well. When we finally get to our destination, I can't believe my eyes. Water! So much water! Taking great care, I approach it. It smells clean and fresh. Little Shadow is now also on the ground by my side. Immediately, he starts to drink greedily. I have a taste too. It's delicious. Not too far off, there's another group of people with their horses. Everyone is in the river. Carefully, I step in too. The water is cool and soothing to my skin. Come, Maharaja, we must return, cries Papi. I obey immediately, even though I'd really like to spend more time in the Nile River. Little Shadow flies ahead of me and I have to run as fast as I can to keep up. It's wonderful to be able to run so carefree. The wind blows through my mane and I gambol exuberantly. We get back to our tents long before the others do. Papi is the headman, and often some of the other men come and sit with him in front of his tent to talk about important matters. Sometimes there are also strange people there, who look different from Papi and the other Egyptians. One of these strange men is very tall and he has a large moustache that has been bleached by the sun. Whenever he visits us, he always walks towards me. He never touches me, though, but just stares at me. His steel blue eyes examine me from my head to my hooves. I can't tell if he likes me or not because his face is just like a bronze statue and shows no emotion. Never a smile, never a frown, not even a muscle that twitches. They call him Serdar Kitchener. Little Shadow and I are playing one of our special pigeon and horse games. I run as quickly as I can with him on my back and, when he can't hold on to my mane any longer with his pigeon feet, he flies upward. Then I run after him at full tilt, leaping as I go and wishing that I could also fly up where he is, close to the warm sun if it's daytime or close to the starry night sky. As we play, I can vaguely hear the men talking. Serdar Kitchener speaks in perfect Arabic. Your support and loyalty to Her Majesty, Queen Victoria of England have been noticed, and you are to be rewarded. You will soon be brought bags of gold. That's in order, Serdar. We will, of course, and as always, faithfully carry out your orders. Papi's eyes shine like stars at the thought of the bags full of gold. Serdar is always welcome here in our camp. We are delighted to receive you, the commander of our Egyptian army. Kitchener stares into the distance. His voice sounds every bit as cold and emotionless as his steel blue eyes. I'll come here if I must, Papi. I prefer the company of you Egyptians to that of the British, even though they're my own people. But I prefer my own company even over yours. Being alone gives me time to think and plan. Strategic plans, like how we will defeat the Mahdi supporters. I don't really understand what he means, but the way he is talking makes every muscle in my young horse's body tense, ready to flee. Kitchener frightens me. As promised, Papi's bags of gold are delivered a week later. The silhouette of two riders on their camels is visible against the sun as it slowly sinks behind the red sand dune. Papi looks suspiciously at these strange men. They're not riding ordinary camels, but expensive, aristocratic racing camels. Both men are light-skinned, like Kitchener, but unlike the Serdar, both of them are friendly and have lively, soulful, shining eyes. Good evening. You have a beautiful camp here, says one of the men excitedly. He is tall and thin. My name is Jack Seeley, he continues, and this is my friend Tom Connolly. Where's my gold? I wondered why Pappy is being so impatient and why he's being unkind to the nice men. If you're not going to be polite to us and give us dinner, we're not going to give you your gold, replies Tom, his annoyance showing. Pappy's behaviour immediately changes. Salma, prepare a feast for our friends. Later, the same evening, the men sit outside under the brightly shining stars, chatting and savouring Salman's delicious food. Pappy and the men, Jack in particular, quickly become friends, mostly because of the love for horses that they have in common. Jack isn't able to take his eyes off me. Slowly, he approaches me and guardedly holds out his hand. He has a soft yet firm touch and I like him immediately. There's something familiar about Jack. It's almost as if, in him, I feel a reflection of myself. Pappy is also standing closer now. He looks appreciatively at my mother. You have to understand, Jack, that here, in Egypt, a mare is a truly valuable possession. Especially a mare like Maharaja's mother, Kiara. She's an asil, which is a purebred Arabian. Do you know the legend of the Arabian horses, Jack? No, Pappy. Please tell me more, asks Jack with great interest. Over the centuries, my people have told this tale to their children, and they, in turn, have told it to their children. The Prophet, Muhammad, had to choose 7 of the very best Arabian mares. Mares are much more important to our people than stallions. They are quieter and they perform better when we're at war. In those days, the test for the best mares was done with water. Life in the desert is hard. There's very little food and almost no water. You're probably aware that a horse will die if it goes 72 hours without water. The Prophet took a large herd of mares on a very long ride before releasing the exhausted animals. A few kilometres away from where they stopped was an oasis with plenty of water. Urged on by their great thirst, the mares ran towards the water. Just before they got there, however, the Prophet called them back. Only 7 of the mares, even though they were desperately thirsty, came back. Those 7 mares were the beginning of his horse's bloodline, the most loyal and faithful animals. These horses are our friends. You and your people treat your dogs as your best friends, and your horses as your slaves. With us, things are the other way round. Here, each man has a horse and he cares about that horse more than anything else in his life. Lovingly, Pappy rubs my mother's long mane. One can never use force to teach an Arabian because they are so strong-willed that they would sooner face death than submit to abuse. However, if you teach such a horse with love and patience, he will lay down his life for you. It is only early the next morning that Jack and Tom hand the gold over to Pappy. We wanted to make sure that you were at least going to feed us well, laughs Jack as he hands the 4 bags of gold to Pappy. Pappy's eyes are shining and he laughs with excitement. Can I show you something nice, Pappy? asks Jack. Yes. Jack shows Pappy the most beautiful gold watch. It was a gift from his father years ago. Pappy has never laid eyes on a watch so beautiful. He rubs his hands in excitement and, speaking Arabic, orders one of the other Egyptian men to go and fetch something. The man comes running back carrying a large tray full of clocks, some of them even capable of playing music. One of the clocks plays God Save the Queen, while some of the others have fantastic figures that start dancing every time the alarm goes off. As Pappy and the other men spin around the clocks like little children, Tom whispers in Jack's ear. These people would give anything for a gold watch like this one of yours. What do you say, Pappy? asked Jack. My father's watch in exchange for Maharaja. Chapter 2. Queen Victoria. The Isle of Wight, England, 1899. To be continued.